What are the careers in human resource management HRM after MBA? Well, this is a question which not a lot of students ask because probably HRM is not so fashionable to choose and all of those things. But in this video, I'll be breaking a few myths about HRM, and probably by the end of this video, you will seriously consider taking up HR for your MBA. Hi, I'm Darpan Saxena and welcome to the Career Launcher YouTube channel, and let's go ahead and understand more about human resource management and your career in HRM after MBA. So in this video, I will not deal with it in the usual way in which I have been speaking about all of my other specializations. So if you're new to this, go to the Career Launcher YouTube channel because I have made in-depth videos on almost all the major specializations, and now we're on HR. But for this one, I realized that instead of speaking about what does HR do and this and that and giving you the gyan, let me break some myths, because with regards to HRM, there are definitely a lot of myths, and therefore I'll start with that. Then I'll head on to areas in HRM, probably the skills required, the top companies which recruit, and you will be surprised that if you're somebody who thinks that, okay, consulting is something I should be in, then probably you could become an HR consultant. This is a very viable and a very sought after role for HR aspirants. And then we'll move on to top B schools. Let me start with the myth. Now here's the thing. The first myth is that HR is just about hiring and firing. उनका कुछ काम नहीं होता है, हायर करते हैं और फायर कर देते हैं, और इतना ही इन दो इंस्टेंसेस पे ही एक HR का काम होता है. The fact is that's not true. With this myth, allow me to give you the 5 broad things which an HR after MBA is supposed to do. For example, recruitment and selection. That's a very important part of an HR's role, that a company remains staffed, remains adequately staffed. You get the right people for the job. That is important. Then obviously, training and development. It's not enough to get the right human beings for it. It's also important that you train them for the job, you train them about the organizations and the expectations, and you take care of them so that it's not only the organization which grows, but also the employees grow. They're trained, they're specialists, they're improving their skills. That is important. And obviously, performance management, monitoring, understanding how can we enhance the overall productivity of the employees. This is one very crucial thing. A lot of HR internships, जब आप MBA में summer placements में internships में जो HR के projects होते हैं, दो बहुत common projects होते हैं. एक होता है please help us optimize the costs, एक ये project होता है, and एक होता है how do we enhance, how do we understand that how well are the employees performing and how do we enhance that. So this is crucial about that. Then employee relations, because you always have to recruit more, you have to build good relations with the B schools, with the placement agencies through which you are hiring people. And there is a phrase which you should know about, which is called employer branding, which is now a very crucial role, and that is hinged upon the HR team. That is that. And obviously compensation. As I said, in the summer internships, the two most famous projects are this and this. That is that. Now what I want you to do is go down in the comments and let me know if you are interested in HR, and drop a query which you may have for HR. And I'm sure by the end of this, you might have your query already answered, but if not, I'll go down there and I'll answer all the queries which you have. So do not forget to go down and give me your queries in the comments. From there, moving on to the second myth. HR is common sense and paperwork. यार कागजी काम है, common sense है, क्या ही करना है, recruitment कर लिया, fire कर लिया, ये. That's not true. There are certain skill sets in HR. There is certain gyan which you need to have, and proper skill sets and specialization in HR, which is what, once you join a good MBA program which specializes in HR, that is what they teach you, which is what? Organizational behavior. I can guarantee you a lot of MBA students who graduate from their B schools when this subject is being explained in the classroom or where this is happening inside the classroom, they don't pay a lot of attention to it. क्या HR ही तो है, क्या पढ़ना? We have to go to finance and marketing and consulting and sales. इसका क्या है? Talk to any alumni and they will say to you that we wish we would have studied organizational behavior और ज़्यादा अच्छे से, because when you lead a team, the knowledge and the principles which you get from this subject are crucial. That is that. So you as an HR will be specializing in this. Obviously, laws and compliances. कोई भी वीडियो इस बारे में बात करती नहीं है that HR's responsibility at some end is also to be aware about the laws, the labor laws, to be specific. Yes, maybe you will not use it every day, but you need to have this understanding. That is why there is a specialization of HR. That is why B schools like XLRI, MDI, TIS are famous for them, because it requires specialized studies, business ethics, and obviously there is a big aspect of strategic management, because hello, a part of a company's strategic plans involve people. In fact, everything in a company's strategic plans involve right people for the right jobs who will lead the organization towards growth. How does that happen? That happens when the business head is aligned with the HR head and they are jointly doing this strategic planning. That is that. These are important things. Hello. All the things which I am saying could be beyond what is there on the slide. ऐसी बहुत चीजें होंगी जो मैं कहूंगा आपसे जो शायद स्लाइड पे नहीं होंगी, तो इसलिए सुनना जरूरी है. And what I want is that if you're able to spot a few things which I had not given on the slide but I've spoken about it, go down in the comments and let me know the 3 things which I spoke but it was not on the slide, so that I can give you a shout out in the next video. Moving on to the myth number 3, which is HR is only for large companies. Now, I will spend a lot of samay on this slide because this requires a lot of explanation. There is a myth that HR, you know what, it's only for the large companies, group of companies, बड़े बड़े नाम जो होते हैं वहीं होता है. अगर वहाँ नहीं है तो और कहीं नहीं है. तो अगर हमारे स्कूल में वो कंपनीज नहीं आ रही हैं तो फिर HR का कोई फायदा नहीं. No. Now here is something which you need to understand, and probably from this I'll give you more in-depth understanding of what exactly does an HR do. Now HR at large conglomerates, group of organizations, that. Then HRs in small and medium-sized companies, HRs in startups and HRs in headhunting firm, means private agencies, private HR agencies. इन सब में बहुत अलग अलग काम हो सकता है एक HR का. Baseline is the same as I had explained those 5 things. Again, hello, go back and screenshot that slide, because tomorrow when you'll be going into your HR के admission interviews, you need to know these terms. My intention behind making these videos and to give you these things on the slides is so that you can screenshot them, you can keep them, search more on those terms, learn those terms, give out those terms. They are important. They signal your good, they signal your good in-depth understanding in that subject. Now, in all of these kinds of organizations, there is one CHRO, which is the Chief HR Officer. This is the CXO role. This is HR में your highest, ठीक है, HR है. Now, beyond that, say suppose if you are in a large conglomerate, then each separate company of that group of organizations will also have a separate CHRO. That's that. Now within that organization, now say suppose that is one organization of that group, wo ye hai, say suppose within that each vertical will have a specialist HR head. So for example, sales will have a separate HR head, finance will have a specialist HR head, operations will have a specialist HR head. I know that you have actually understood this. These HR heads, which are function wise HR heads at these organizations, they are called HRBPs, which is HR business partners. These are function specific, which means what? अगर एक function specific HR है तो उसको उस function की understanding भी होनी चाहिए. Which means what? Which means this, that hey, if suppose you are aspiring to be an HR does not mean that you will forget finance or you'll forget sales or you'll forget marketing. No. In fact, hello, this is very important. Most placements which happen directly from MBA, the first job role which you crack is HR BP job role, which means domain specific and function specific HRs. तो अर्थ ये है इसका कि आपको उस डोमेन की नॉलेज भी होनी जरूरी है. देन इफ यू गो इनटू अ स्टार्टअप, obviously in a startup one human being, one HR will do a lot of things. तो इसमें और इसमें थोड़ा जो वो है वो ये है that I had shown you those 5 roles, 5 kinds of things which an HR would do in these kind of organizations which are somewhat larger in size. Probably one HR will have only fewer things to focus on, whereas in a startup, in a small scale startup, one HR will do a lot of those things, probably all 5 of those things. तो फर्क ये है, there is more structure over here, but in a funded, well-funded startup, you may have a higher salary. ये भी एक चीज है. This is also something very interesting. So you need to be very aware of these things that okay, probably what is the work like, where is the salary like, and then probably it could also be certain headhunting agencies, placement agencies where you can work as an HR, as a head, which helps various other organizations find the right employees. This is broadly what it is. So the point was, HR is required in every company, every marketing हो गई, finance हो गई, consulting हो गई, IBD role हो गया, कुछ भी हो गया, operations company भी हो गया. So never be, okay, one more thing I like to say to here is that when somebody says that okay, I want to become HR, then they also have this thing, yeah, but then finance नहीं कर पाऊंगा या marketing नहीं कर पाऊंगा. No, the thing is different. If you have a liking for HR as a stream and you also have an inclination towards say finance, become an HR at a finance company. That finance enthusiasm of yours will be required to hire the right people. Obviously, if you have zero understanding of say finance, it will be much more complex for you to succeed in that finance organization where it is important for you to get the right people, for you to evaluate the right human beings from their CV, from their interactions, from their interviews. That's that. Moving on to the myth number 4. HR, ये तो बहुत कॉमन है मिथ, ये तो लोगों को आइडिया ही नहीं है, फील ही नहीं होता लोगों को कि यू नो व्हाट, HR डज नॉट कंट्रीब्यूट टू द टॉप लाइन एंड द प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी. यार सेल्स तो होती नहीं HR में, तो सेल्स पे कोई इंपैक्ट नहीं पड़ता, रेवेन्यू के ऊपर कोई इसका वो है नहीं इंपैक्ट, एंड ऑब्वियसली प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी पे भी कहाँ इंपैक्ट पड़ता होगा. द फैक्ट इज ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. HR impacts both of these things, and it is very simple to understand this. How? I've already explained this. See, all of these functions, which is product, sales, operations, marketing, finance, your HR madam or your HR sir, you should see it like this. They are actually the co-owners of this ecosystem. As I had said, an HR BP owns one of these functions. So their responsibility is all of those things: recruitment, performance management, L&D for that specific function. Which means, now you have to understand this. Say suppose if you think that okay, sales happens only through these people, the ones who are in sales. It is an HR's responsibility to find and scout the top talent for that. So the kind of people which an HR is able to scout and get for the interviews is the kind of human beings who will meet the sales head, and वही लोग करेंगे sales. So HR very directly impacts sales because an organization is run by human beings. And then in the same way, be it for product, finance and all of these things, you've got to get the right people to do all of these things. Then as an HR, as I had said already, your job is also to optimize the costs. That's that, which impacts the profitability, to improve the productivity. The same number of input, which is, which simply means the same number of employees, the same hours of work. How can the employees improve their productivity? Can we introduce a certain online tool for them or something like that, or various things in which you help the teams improve their productivity? That is a very important aspect. So you need to start to see it like this, that HRs do impact your top line and bottom line. In fact, every function does. Every function does. One of the things about being an MBA is that you start to appreciate everything which is happening in the organization because you know everything has an impact. That's that. So you as an HR to specially should know that everything has an impact, so that even if you're speaking to the lowest of the lows in the hierarchy of the employee, you can inspire him or her कि भाई तेरा काम impactful है. I'm speaking in a very crude manner right now, but this is the fact. This is the kind of feeling you need to lead with. And then from there, myth number 5. HR प्रोफेशनल्स में ना लोग वही जाने चाहिए जिनकी स्पीकिंग बहुत अच्छी है, गुड मतलब पीपल स्किल्स हैं, ये है वो है. ये बहुत हद तक सही है. दिस इज नॉट रॉन्ग, especially because in recruitment, selection, employer branding and all of these functions, you need people who represent the company in a crisp manner in front of the employees or the future employees, potential employees. But there are other things which an HR could be specializing in. आपकी उस organization में हो सकता है कुछ HRs सिर्फ इसलिए हैं because they are damn good at some of these things, and these are certain skill sets which do not come to all. I'll be specific about these two things, which is HR analytics and obviously inclusion of technology in HR. This is something which is a very specialized skill set. Not all HRs who have been MBAs will know this. Therefore, it's not just that okay, you have to always front end somebody. No, HR requires a very in-depth, deep team which does a lot of analytics, finds out these crazy insights and actually impacts the profitability of the organization. So these skill sets are important. Now, moving on from there, this slide is only so that you can have a good view of it, you can screenshot it and you can keep it with yourself, because somewhere all of these areas in HRM I have explained in those first few slides. The idea of explaining you the myths was that so that usi story mein I can explain you a lot of these things. This is important so that when you are preparing for your interviews, be it your MBA ke admission interviews or the placement interviews, you know some key phrases, you know some very important key phrases on which you probably need to study on. So on these 4 headings, these are broadly the things which you do. If there is any phrase on which you want something from me, a very simple thing which you have to do, go down in the comments and just write to me that please explain this, and I'll explain it there itself. That's that. Moving on from there, skills required for HRM. Some of them will be very standard skills. बहुत standard skills हैं. For example, you need to have your PPT skills and your Excel skills on point. Any MBA student, यार any MBA student, marketing हो, finance हो, consulting हो, anyone, basic 2 चीजें आनी चाहिए, which is how to make good looking PPTs and how to do in-depth analysis on Excel sheets. This is a must for any MBA. That's that. Apart from that, obviously you've got to be good with human beings. You are somebody who should be liking to talk to them, to understand them, should have empathy and patience, because this is not something where you can lose patience. It's not simple to deal with different stakeholders, human beings. That's that. And obviously attention to detail, negotiation skills, so that not only can you negotiate the salaries with the employee but also with their bosses. That is also something which you have to do. That no, you know what, we need to hire him, he has the skills, probably he needs to get paid slightly higher than that. These are also some things which an HR would do. So these are some pretty very standard skill sets. इसमें कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग बहुत ही अलग चीज बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. These are all the things which you need to have. Now, top companies for HRM, very important thing. See, first of all, I'll start from here. As I've said already, all corporates, any company, large size, medium size, small size, they require HRs. That's that. Then, as I've already said to you, placement agencies also come for recruitment, whose job is to help these organizations get those candidates. ये भी होती हैं. That's that. And then, here is the interesting thing. If you are somebody who's fascinated with the world of consulting, that my friend wants to become a consultant, and the life of a consultant is very amazing. Well, HR consulting is probably something which you didn't know about, is where you could go. These companies, which is Korn Ferry, Aon Hewitt, and Mafoy, these are HR consulting organizations. These are organizational consulting organizations, as they say. And all of these hire for consulting roles so that their clients, you can help their clients in all of those 5 things which I had said in the first slide. That's that. So HR consulting is something which is there. So if you're somebody who's serious about a career in consulting after MBA, HR consulting pays well and it makes sense for you as well. Now, finally, the top B schools for HRM. Some of them you would know for sure. You would know XLRI. XLRI is the best place for you to be for HRM. You know this. This is extremely important. MDI Gurgaon's HR program has risen like crazy in the last 4-5 years. The salaries here are comparable now with an XLRI. MDI Gurgaon HR program is a top tier program. You know, when I was an MBA aspirant, I had this call. I had the call from MDI HRM. However, I was already 1 or 2 weeks into my IIM Udaipur and I had started to quite like the place and the environment over there. So I was like, yeah, theek hai, it's okay. I want to be there. So that's that. I know this. Then you have TIS, a very famous school which you should obviously opt for. IIM Ranchi has carved a niche for itself among the newer IIMs. HR for IIMR is good. And obviously SCMHRD comes in the symbiosis schools and it's a good place. It's a very, it's a very interesting place. Probably some may say that, okay, this should ideally be at the spot number 4 and this should be at the spot number 5. I would be okay with that. It's somewhat similar is what I'd say. And salary ranges start from 15 LPA, inclusive of everything, can go as high as 25 LPA, which is what you'll actually expect over here and here. The higher end salaries will come here. These salaries will come more towards here on this end. HR में जो incentive है इतना नहीं होता है, variables मतलब नहीं है, तो these salaries are mostly all fixed is what you need to know. Guys, with that, my intention behind this video was to give you a deep dive, break some myths about HRM, what you could do in HRM after your MBA. I hope you've got more clarity. Please go down and let me know what you feel about it and what is the stream which you're choosing for yourself for your MBA. Thanks a lot and goodbye.